we have to perform the indicated operations. We know that the order of operations for decimals is the same like for whole numbers and the fractions. So first we have to do parentheses, next exponents, next multiplication and division and addition and subtraction. Here in parentheses we don't have any operations, so next we have exponents. We have 4.2 to second power, so we have to take to second power 4.2. What else we can do? We have multiplication between these two decimal numbers and that decimal numbers. So first we will do this multiplication and that multiplication, and we take to second power 4.2. The last will be subtraction and addition. So let's do this. We have 7.7 times 8.5. We know how to multiply two decimal numbers. First we have to forget about decimal points and do multiplication like we do multiplication of whole numbers. So we have 5 times 7 is 35. So we have 5 and 3 we add to next column. 5 times 7 is 35 plus 3 is 38. And now 8 is in the second column, so it's 80 times 5 is 560. So we have to write 60 and 5 we add to next column. 8 times 7 is 56 plus 5 is 61. And now we have to do addition. 5 plus 0 is 5, 8 plus 6 is 14. We have 4 and 1 we add to next column, so it will be 5, 6. Next, because we multiply two decimal numbers, so we have to count decimal places. In the first factor we have 1 decimal place, in the second also 1, so 1 plus 1, the total will be 2. So in our solution we need to have 2 decimal places, so we count from right to the left, 1, 2. Decimal point will be between 5 and 4. So we found the product of these two numbers. So this is equal. We can write that this is 65, decimal point 45, decimal symbol. Next is subtraction symbol. We have to copy and we have to do next multiplication. We have to multiply these two decimal numbers. We have 3 decimal point 6 and 2 decimal point 1. How we do multiplication of decimal numbers? Like I said before, the same way like we do multiplication of whole numbers. First we have to forget about decimal points. So we have 1 times 6 is 6, 1 times 3 is 3, and now 2 is in the second column, so this is 10th column. 20 times 6 is 120, so it will be 20 and 1 we add to next column. 2 times 3 is 6 plus 1 is 7. And now we have to add these two numbers. 6 plus 0 is 6, 3 plus 2 is 5, and we have 7. Now you have to remember about decimal points. So you have to count decimal places. In the first factor is 1, in the second is 1, so the total will be 2. So now we have to go to our solution and we have to count decimal places. 2 decimal places. We have to have 1, 2. So decimal point will be between 7 and 5. So we have minus 7 decimal point 56, and now we have to take to the second power 4.2. So we have 4.2 to second power, so we have to multiply 4.2 times 4.2. Again, multiplication. We have to do like multiplication whole numbers. So we have 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 4 is 8, and again 4 is in the second column, so it's 40 times 2 is 80. 4 times 4 is 16. So now we have to do addition. 4 plus 0 is 4. 8 plus 8 is 16. So we have 6 and 1 we add to next column, so it will be 7 and 1. And now we have to count decimal places. In the first factor we have 1, in the second we have 1, so the total is 2. So we need to have 2 decimal places in our solution. 1, 2, we start from the right side and we count to the left side, 2 decimal places. So decimal point is between 7 and 6. So we have plus 17, decimal point 64. And now what we have here, we have subtraction and addition. When we have subtraction and addition, we will go from the left to the right. So first we will do subtraction. Subtraction of decimal numbers. So we have to align decimal points. We have 65 decimal point 45 minus 7 decimal point 56. And we start from the last column. 5 minus 6 we cannot do, so we need to borrow 1 from 4. So it will be now 3, and we have 15 at the end. 15 minus 6, so it will be 9. 3 minus 5 we cannot do, so we borrow 1 from 5. So it will be 4, and we have now 13. Minus 5 is 8. Decimal point we have to copy exactly in the same column. And now 4 minus 7, we need to borrow 1 from 6, so it will be 5, and we have 14 minus 7 is 7. 5 minus 0 is 5. So the result is 57 decimal point 89. And we have to add 17 decimal point 64. How we add two decimal numbers? We have to align decimal points. So we have 57 decimal point 89 plus 17 decimal point 64. And now we add these two numbers like we add whole numbers, and we have to keep only decimal point in the same column. So we have 9 plus 4 is 13. So we have 3 and 1 we add to next column. So will be 9 plus 6 is 15. So this is 5 and 1 we add next column. We take down decimal point in the same column, and we have 8 plus 7 is 15. So this is 5 and 1 we add to next column. So it will be 7. So our solution will be 75 decimal point 53.